Hey guys, in this video we're going to go over the muzzle. I recommend a Baskerville basket muzzle. I think that they are a pretty fair price. I think they run about $35 for the construction. They're just made well. Okay, out of the box, first thing that I do is I take off this little piece that comes on the top. This is how they're supposed to be designed. Nose goes here, mouth comes here. I take this bit off because I honestly don't think they're necessary if you condition them properly. And it also causes some friction. That nylon material on the top of their nose here, it just causes friction and often will cause a cut or some kind of a sore there. I prefer that you guys purchase the muzzles that have the buckle snap versus the plastic clasp. And what I want you to do for the first, I don't know, I guess for about a meal or two, or I guess a couple of days worth of work, what I would like for you to do is just feed them in their muzzle. And what I mean by that is almost pretend that this is a bowl, put some food on the inside, cup the bottom part, put some food on the inside, present it to your dog and let them eat from you. Assuming that your dog has proper food motivation, that should be a good introduction to the muzzle. You know, you can go overboard on this, I think, in terms of doing it for too long, but it's not gonna hurt anything. It would be unnecessary to go more than a couple of meals in my view, assuming your dog has good motivation for food. If you're offering your dog food in the muzzle and they look at it and they walk away from it, that just means your dog's not motivated by their food and you got a different type of a problem. So what I like to do is, like I said, take the part that is their mouth, make sure that you cup that part, put the food inside the muzzle, like so. Oh no, don't let the dog have food that falls on the floor if you're doing a session like this, because they will start to just, especially if they view the session as a struggle at all, they will always be, they're efficient, so they're always gonna go and take the reward that is easily accessible. So if you're dropping a bunch of kibble in this process, they're just gonna be looking for food on the ground instead of looking to do what you want them to do. Somehow I got one over here too. All right, so I have the food in my hand here, and once I'm ready to present it to the dog, I bring it up high, present it to the dog, and let them eat out of it. And like I said, you can do this for a couple of meals. Low stress, good introduction to the muzzle. So, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm going to present the muzzle to him, and all I'm looking for is for him to stick his snout in the muzzle. If you've done some feeding in the muzzle already, then they should automatically put their face into the muzzle. And the moment that they do, you should click and feed, or mark and feed if you're using a verbal marker, all right? So here we go, present it, click and feed, like so. I'm also assuming that you guys have a basic understanding of markers. If you don't, you should refer to a different video or schedule an appointment with me so that we can go over the importance of markers and their use. In this first stage of conditioning, you guys, what we're trying to do is get the dog to understand there's a guarantee. When you put your snout into the muzzle, you will be getting reinforcement. That's why it's a mistake to do what I just did. You should not let the dog stick their face in the muzzle and not click this early on. Present muzzle and click. A side note here, eventually we're going to be working on increasing duration of them holding their snout into the muzzle. And in order to avoid, in order to speed up that process, what we want to make sure that we're not doing is that we're not clicking as their snout is coming out. Okay, we want to be clicking with their snout inside of the muzzle. That should be what has them pull their snout out. Present, click, snout comes out, and feed. When you are clear that the dog understands that guarantee, I put my face in that muzzle and I get reinforced, all right? Once we have that kind of a foundation, then they will try harder and we can start to increase the duration of time that they are able to keep their face in the muzzle. And this is the first stage of muzzle conditioning. Good boy. All right, now in this stage of the conditioning process, we're gonna be working on building some duration, all right? So by this point, your dog should have that guarantee. They understand when I put my face in that muzzle, I get food, it's good stuff. And this is where we're gonna begin to challenge that a bit and cause a little bit of frustration and confusion. And because of that frustration, the dogs will begin to push into the behavior that has worked for them well in the past, okay? But you have to have that learning phase complete before you can really move into this phase, all right? All right, so here we go. Muzzle presented, dog sticks his head in the muzzle. Anything more than what you have been working on in the past. So in terms of if your dog hasn't ever stuck their face in the muzzle and kept it in there for long at this point, now we're gonna start to see how far they can keep their muzzle in, okay? So that was good, that was better than what he typically does. So, you know, anything more than a moment or two, a second or two, you should be clicking and looking to build up to 3 seconds, all right? Present, 1, 2, click. So he stuck his face out, that didn't work for him, so what did he do? He put his face right back in. He tried it harder. Present, 1, 2. Present. It's common to get a lot of that pushing into the muzzle, like, because they're getting frustrated, like, I'm holding it in, I'm doing something, why am I not getting that click? Just be mindful that if you are clicking as they're pushing into the muzzle, they may start to think that pushing is what brings on the click, and we don't really want that. In addition, you could get your dog going into the down or going into the sit while their face is in the muzzle, and if you click there too many times, or even just once depending on the dog, they may think that that's what they're supposed to do, all right? So we want to be mindful not to create these superstitious couplings of a behavior that we don't necessarily want coupled with the wearing of the muzzle, or holding the face in the muzzle. Then that was a bit of a challenge. I may have made a mistake or two there, you guys, but I just felt like he was getting a bit, he was probably confused, but I just felt like he could do it longer. That may or may not have been fair to him. So of course, after that more difficult repetition last time, I'm gonna make the next one a bit easier. If that happens to you and you are getting confused and frustrated because the dog is getting confused and frustrated, I would encourage you to just find a good easy rep to end on. Take the muzzle away for a moment, bring it back in, even if that dog touches the muzzle with his snout, click, feed, end the session there. You know, and sometimes what happens is your dog just tries a bunch of things, all right? Like, there might be an easier way to bring that food on. Let's see if there is. And you just gotta make sure that they know that there is not an easier way. This is what we're looking for. This is what brings on the click. Your dog should be mostly successful here, you guys. If you are finding that half your repetitions he's sticking his face out and he's not bringing it back in, and you're having to pull the muzzle away out of frustration, your criteria is too strict. Your expectations are too high. So So most of your repetitions should look like that, okay? At this stage. Excuse me. And this is my last set, last repetition, the one I just did. So, jack bottom. And that's a wrap.